Honorable Deputy Minister for Education. Yes, this is Education Revolution Conference, and it's not going to be speakers. It's supposed to be interactive. You've heard the first speaker, the second speaker, and of course, the third speaker, as well as a customer who has shown appreciation in how this application works. At this point, I'd like to invite Camilla to join, Honorable and Jeff on the days here. And now we're going to get interactive. We're going to ask questions. So as I indicated in my preamble to this conference, I said that take advantage of the Deputy Minister for Education. He is actually in charge of your schools all the way to the high school. So he's the right man to answer the questions. I don't know why parents now want to take their children to the American educational systems and the British educational system for what they perceive to be quality education that our own educational system that taught them and brought them up. I think he will address that. Then again, you have talked about some of the curriculum and the courses program that will be modified, whether it will be tailor-made that will suit our local context. I studied algebra, and I've never found algebra over 30-something years in my life. I don't know how algebra works and apply in my life. And you are forced to learn algebra. You're forced to learn algebra. Some of us were not fortunate when we're writing O-level and A-level. We didn't get the opportunity to use the calculator. I think maybe the last batch that we got the calculator, scientific calculator, because we were science students. Some were using the Mokola calculator. But hitherto, we're using the logbook. You have to go and check and see whether you miss point decimal, you are in trouble. Why? Why have you punished us? What have we done wrong? We have to study and put everything here. Is the head a warehouse? Anyway, so at this point, we'll open the floor for questions. If you have any question, you can walk here or come this side. First three on the left, first three on the right. If you have any question, the Q&A. After which we also have customer appreciation. Please walk up to the man with the microphone. First three on the left, first three on the right. From an authority of Montessori, Camilla, and Jeff, educational revolutionist who has come up with a technological application, and the Honorable Deputy Minister for Education, who is an educator himself. So we'll start with you, one from the left, one from the right.
Hello.
You introduce yourself and your question.
Yes, my name is Mrs. Prince Boateng, MD of Crown Prince Academy. Since we are fortunate to have the Honorable Deputy Minister of Education in the house, I believe all of us are very anxious about the new curriculum, and it's long overdue. So we are happy that after more than 10 years we get the new curriculum. I hope not that it will be outdated by the time it comes out. But my question is the preparation and towards a new curriculum. The next academic year is just a few months around the corner. You mentioned some manuals for the teachers, but we are always starting everything from May towards the new academic year. The staffing. What kind of competence do our staff need? What kind of extra books we will need, textbooks, or if we have electronic software, digital books, or whatever. When are all these things will be in place? We feel that it should have been started much earlier with the planning. So that is our only worry. And when we will really have the real. At the moment, there is only a proposed syllabus in the system on the social media. When will we have access to the real curriculum so that we can plan towards it and also train our staff? And I hope this time is free. Most of the time, private schools have to beg for everything before it is given to us, unless there's some envelope pushed somewhere before you are giving something. So I hope this time we will be also included in everything. Thank you very much.
Wonderful question. Second question from the right.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm Kofi Sarabefi, headmaster of Generation Grace Academy and a reading advocate. Yeah, to the Honorable Minister, I want to know what you are doing about reading in the basic levels. I'm saying this because a school picked me to Upper West. I stayed there for 2 years. A boy who was brought to me was in KG2. We made him to read. And later, a boy who was in class 5 in the public school was also brought. This boy could not even read 3-letter words. So it was that boy who was in KG2 who was teaching him to read. And I was asking, what are the teachers doing? So please, now that you are here, we want to know all what you are doing to get these children to read from the basic levels.
All right. Thank you. I know you're pretty much aware it's not only the deputy minister who is here. Okay. Okay, so Honorable, address the two questions.
In terms of curriculum, I think, I can say it, okay. I think I'm going to talk to NACA to convene a meeting with the private schools that are implementing the Ghanaian curriculum. I think it's important that they meet with you and you can ask them questions, then form partnership with them. I'm sure in this new era, you don't always have to get hard copy. Electronic copies will be there, so you don't have to push any envelope. You just have to click the mouse, and you should be able to download. So they are working on that aspect. But I share your concern. That's a bit late. And one aspect of the curriculum that I did not talk about is history of Ghana as a standalone, history as a standalone subject, beginning from primary 1. So that is going to be an important feature. We've educated people in this country who have no idea of this nation, and I think it's a tragedy, and it's going to change. So history is going to be a standalone subject. But I'm going to ask, I'll get a contact of if you have an association, get a contact of the lead so that we will get NACA to call you to a meeting and share with you what they are doing and how you can access the content that they've developed. In terms of the reading, we've adopted phonics. Jolly Phonics actually is working with us in terms of reading. But I'll tell you one thing. It shouldn't be this bad when we talk about primary 5 and they can read. But it stems from a very important and lack of poor supervision and accountability. If I'm a head teacher and I'm not held accountable for performance, can you imagine that happening in the private sector? No. If your students fail the BEC, headmaster is out. But in the case of the public sector, you can have somebody who is presiding over a school where there's 0% on BEC, and they will still get promoted. And so there's no sense of urgency, and people are not looking at further. We are destroying the future of children. And what we are now doing is the accountability piece. So yes, we do the curriculum, we do the instruction, but you're going to be held accountable for performance. And you cannot just walk into any school and say, I'm going to be a headmaster because I'm the deputy director and I've risen through the ranks. That is going to be a thing of the past. If you teach for 5 years, you have leadership skills, you are willing to go through training, you will head a school. You're not going to have to be there for 30 years and automatically, because you are the best chemistry teacher and have risen through the ranks, you should head a school. That is going to be a thing of the past. If people are held accountable for performance, what we are seeing will not happen. Because we have found out after primary 2 assessment that majority of the children were not reading, and the headmaster will have to have an action plan. After 3 years, no change is happening. We are not firing you. We are not sacking you from Ghana Education Service. You cannot head. So somebody else will take your role and take up your role and do and do the work that you do.
Right, next set of questions.
Hi, my name is Helen from Simply Education. I'm an educational consultant and also a head of a very small school, the Smile School. Actually, what I'm talking about is just sort of following on from you. There's a lot of research out there that says the second biggest influence on a child's education is the leadership team. Now, you've been talking about the head teachers, but what is even a bigger influence is the middle leadership teams in schools. What can we do in Ghana to try and develop this middle leadership teams that will make a bigger impact on the education of children?
Wonderful question. Next.
Okay, good morning. My name is Sally Adjoa Bafowa. I worked many years in the UK in teaching and learning, in leadership as well, and in consultancy for about 24 years, and I've come back home to help. And my question was for the Honourable Minister, but I think it's a bit unfair, so I'll give my second question is to the IT young man. Okay. Yes, there's been a big shift. I think you're leading a really big shift in school information management, which I think is brilliant. What I was wondering is, how consistent is it with the GES data, centralized data collection system? And I'm asking this because I have a friend who has a school, and when they came, the GES people came, and they did not accept her data management system. They still wanted a very basic paper kind of presentation, which we were all not happy. I don't want to use the word appalled, but we thought, if anything, there should be an attempt to merge or an attempt at technology to make sure that we have a more centralized system. So what I wanted to ask was, probably our Honourable Minister can help with answering that. Yes. So thank you.
I think the last question, what I'll tell you is that we also need to do more dialogue with your organization so that if you align your electronic data with the MS, then you should be able to print it for them. And I'll talk to them about that. Because we are also digitizing now. So MS is migrating to digital. So I think we can dialogue along those lines. And also, if software developers adopt the same guidelines that they want to in terms of the various metrics that are being measured and enrollment and all those things, I think that's a very elementary data that can be printed for them. Instead of spending time to complete the form, about 13 pages of work that you need to do. So I think it's more alongside the idea of collaborating with you so that we can easily get your data. I probably may not even have to come to your school and be able to download data easily from your network. I know you can ask something, but there was something about, reading. Leadership, middle level leadership. If you go to high school, you have head of departments and counselors and other people who are middle level. But I'll tell you one thing. If you do not create an accountability framework, even the middle level, you can train them all you want, and it will not work because there's no sense of urgency. Why do certain schools do better than others in Ghana? Everybody will say, Adisco does so well. Wesley gets that so well. But they have a proxy supervision regime through the old students. Old students doesn't want to hear that their schools are not doing well. So they call headmasters to order. I know for a certain school where they were not doing well on the math and science quiz, and they went to the headmaster and said, our school has to be in the math and science quiz. And this year they are going to be part of the math and science quiz because the old students were appalled that the disco and all these people are doing better than them. So you happen to go to a school, come from a school where you don't have that prosy supervision, and our supervision is not working well, where there's no accountability framework, where unfortunately sometimes you meet a headmaster who does not even know his performance data, doesn't know the percentage of students who pass the BEC, pass the WASI at the school. How do you turn around that school when there's no sense of urgency? So yes, we believe in training, and we're going to do a lot of training. But I also believe that there should be a leadership and accountability framework which will create a sense of urgency for people to take the training seriously. So we're going to do the two, and any opportunity that anybody can offer in area of training, we are willing to partner. But we believe that training in itself is not going to do the trick. People have to be held accountable, and they equip them with the skill set to do their work. And then you monitor what they do, and that is how you can bring about the transformation that we need.
Okay, I appreciate your question, because it's a question that our customers have asked us, and I also struggle with it. And I'll tell you a short story. Back in 2017, my team and I were in a conference room for about 4 hours debating whether we should allow our customers to print, because really the printing culture was the part of impediment, or say block for organizing or schools to use information, because they always wanted to be on paper. And we resulted to the fact that GES Inspectors wants paper. So every time we develop a new feature in the application, we go a step forward. Then we have to come a step back to incorporate what would meet GES Inspectors' requirement. So printing is something that we are constantly incorporating, but I have one school right now which is a new school. The school wants to print their report, even though parents can get the report on their phone. So it's a mindset change, and that mindset change is not going to happen in a short period of time. It will take some time. As Kitty College mentioned, I remember, if you don't mind me sharing, Pepe, the first day we had a conversation about not printing the reports. The conversation was, should we print it or shouldn't we print, because parents can see their report on their phone. We talked and we realized, okay, let's give it a shot. For parents who will check the report on your phone, those who come in, then they print. And the parents accepted the one on their phone because it's convenient. But for inspectors, you can't have that conversation. So I think it's something that, I will do my part by, hopefully the minister will guide me as well, so that we can provide some kind of training and also make some information available. I was at a new school that just came on board, and the school had to rush to take a pen drive all the way to a GES office for data. And really, that information can be sent from the office easily. But they have to take the pen drive, send a driver all the way to Weja for that data to be delivered. So I think there's opportunities for collaboration between us and GES, and we are going to do our part, and I think that they are also doing their part, because I've talked to some people that they are trying. So it's a collaboration that we will work together on.
Right, thank you, Jeff. The last two questions. First from our right.
Hello, my name is Mr. Francis Lemau from Franceland, Nungwa. I have few misgivings that I would like to plead with Honorable Deputy to clear for me. The first one is about the more practice that you talk about. In fact, it's a canker in the system that has permeated every level of our society. And I can say that it's synonymous with corruption the way it is in Ghana. And so when you talk about it being fought, I love it. But I think that the measure that you mentioned, that you have to change the positions or the numbers to solve the problem, I think that will amount to something little in the ocean. Because there are situations where ahead of the examination, the papers will be flying in the air. Some are sold in the marketplaces. And some of the kids are not daft. If they see the paper ahead of the examination day, certainly even if you change the positions of the answers, they themselves can solve it and then enter with that pre-knowledge and do justice to the question. And so I would like to know whether there are additional steps, apart from just misarranging the numbers and so forth. I want to know whether there are additional steps that will bolster our position or the stance that we have against this canker. The second one is about the software that we are learning today. When the officer in charge of this program was talking, I called one of the reps to ask them the cost of signing on to the program. I'm imagining the sort of things that he's talking about. If he wants to put all of those things on us, some of the schools cannot afford. So I want to ask whether you are in partnership with them to pre-finance so that as schools in Ghana, we can use this for free and then nobody will come back to us and then be billing us. And then finally, the history that you talk about.
Thank you, sir. Let's give opportunity to others to also. The minister
so
has to leave us. I like that free bit of it because, the government promised free, so we want everything free, even free to heaven. Yeah.
You want me to?
Yes, your turn. That will come to you.
Hello, my name is Evelyn Ajipon, and I'm the Education Director at Crown Prince Academy. I've got about 30 questions in my head.
30?
Yes.
Okay.
However, I will try and stick with one only. Yes. Deputy Minister, I would love to be able to talk with you at length because I've got a huge amount of questions I want to ask. However, what I would ask is the naming of schools in Ghana, which seems a ridiculous question to ask. However, having been in the UK system for about 26 years, it seems like schools are named at the will of the person who's setting up the school. And I want to stick to what Camilla was talking about Montessori, because I know about Montessori, but I don't necessarily know what it was until your lovely presentation here. There are many schools that pitch themselves as Montessori, right? So when I came here, I used to ask, why would you call a school international? What does that mean? Does that mean international curricula? Does it mean you've got international students? Does it mean you've got international teachers or parents? And then in the same vein, why call a school Montessori if the teachers are not Montessori trained? So is there any way of registering how someone goes about naming their school? I could name my school Butterfly because I like butterflies. But what I attach to it then, if I say Butterfly Montessori or Butterfly International School, somebody ought to be asking me the question, why are you international, why are you Montessori? And there needs to be a rubric somewhere that says, to be an international school, this is what you should be able to do, and to be a Montessori, this is what you need to do. So I'm asking Camilla that question because I appreciate she was the one that talked about the Montessori, and you need to speak, Camilla. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll come to all the legal framework, but for me, what I know, if you have Ghana flag, America flag, UK flag in front of your school, it's an international school. Your question.
And especially, hello? And especially when you have one Nigerian in the school. Yeah, it's... All right, I'm Joseph Appa, yes, from Startrise School. Yes, my question is, I think we are mostly, predominantly school heads, but I'm sure most of us were teachers or we at least inspect lesson notes. Now, I know that that is really a daunting task for every teacher, what we call lesson notes, but in other places we call it lesson plan. Whatever that it is really a daunting task. Do you have anything like that in the software where teachers could also write the lesson notes? I mean, something simplified so that school heads can have it on time to help them also assess and, of course, know what is going on in the classroom and all of that. Yeah, so that is for. And, of course, so in a related question to the Honorable Minister, I think we spoke about the sprinting thing earlier, but looks like some of the CS, the circuit supervisors, don't really want to see anything technological. I don't know that for. They want to see the handwritten in the lesson notebook. Even the logbook, they want to see handwritten and not anything printable. And I think that really, especially I think some time ago, I had a visit from the Swiss embassy. They wanted to make a check on one of our former students. And they also insisted on looking at the paper register, paper admission register, because they say they are able to tell how old the paper is so that if you have been able to, or if you've tried to, let's say, infiltrate or add any name that was not supposed to be there, they'll be able to tell. I think that if we are able to do something about this, it will help.
Let's hear from our resource persons.
So it's a new approach to solving a problem. Now, if there was no double track, there wouldn't be this new strategy. The new strategy was created as a result of eliminating double track in 5 to 7 years. And that's what we are doing now. Universities are also going to get their lecture halls completed so that the increase in enrollment they will be able to absorb. And basic schools across the country that were falling apart, we've done some of them, and we are going to get another tranche of funding from the $1.5 billion to also rebuild a number of basic schools that are falling apart. So there's a plan, and it's meticulous. We've thought through it, using international best practices to make sure that 100,000 plus children will not be at home every year. They can go to school, and then we have a sense of urgency and a plan to build new infrastructure so that they all sit comfortably when they go to school. So have patience with us. We are not experimenting with the future of your children. We are using international best practices to make sure that the vision of the president will be a reality. I think there was something about French. It was answered. By the way, we started basic schools that are French, bilingual French. I think there are a number of schools, 5 schools in Accra that have begun, because we are following the lead of the private sector. You do bilingual French very well. And we also want to do bilingual French that those who can afford your schools can go to. And there was something about, I thought he was referring to children on the streets, but what I've observed about children on the street, and not the high school children, are children who are holding the hands of the adults who happen to be blind or have some disability, and they are begging on the street. And my heart aches when I see them. And the fortunate thing is that now we have a new agency called Complementary Education Agency. The old non-formal education is being rebranded to take on that responsibility. That children who are on the streets will be able to have a place to go. And my personal suggestion is, if we have LEAP, why don't we give all those disabled people whose hands are being held by the children LEAP payments? So, and the condition for the LEAP will be, if your child is in school, we'll pay the money to you. So if we're going to pay LEAP anyway, why can't we leverage that? And that's something that we're talking to other government agencies about, that we can take away all those children. I stopped my car at Kalkudi and I asked the parent, don't you know that when this child turns 18, they won't hold your hand anymore? And what will have happened to the child? So we have to come with solutions that can take that off the table. Lesson plans. I support submitting your lesson plans electronically. I don't understand why you have to write it for it to become acceptable, so far as you're using it. We just get caught up in the process and not product. If you want the teacher to teach well, I don't care whether they handwrite or they prepare it electronically. Go and see them teaching. And that should be the object, and not the idea that everybody should handwrite, and if you don't handwrite, you are in trouble. I think we are bothering teachers too much if we do that in this 21st century. I know some people will say, why are you saying that? But I'm saying it. And it needs to be said that teachers should not be forced to handwrite their lesson plans. So far they will deliver the electronic lesson plans. We should encourage them to do so.
Okay, so I had 2 questions. One was in regard to the lesson plan. Yes, the system actually has a lesson plan in it, where teachers can input a lesson plan or lesson note. I use it interchangeably. They can input their lesson notes, and it goes into the supervisor, and the supervisor can review and comment and then approve it. If it's not approved, then it's in a pending stage. So it has a way for the head teacher or the head principal to be able to see what lesson notes was put in for last week or in the past, and also to be able to see what the teacher is planning to do today. So all of that capability is there. The challenge really is when it's printed out, whether the inspector will accept it. That is a different discussion, and I think the minister has mentioned that there's opportunity for companies like ours to collaborate so that we can get some kind of coverage so that inspectors doesn't bother schools when they actually do lesson notes or lesson plan digitally. I believe there was another question, escaped me. Oh, they're free. Yes. I think the question, if I remember the question was a partnership for free for schools. Now, let's be honest with ourselves. Private schools, in the way I view private schools, is that you are providing a great service for our country, but you are also a business. So without that financial capability of fees, you won't be able to sustain the service you provide. It's the same way that we are as a business. When we started off early in 2016, we actually gave our technology out for free, and I wish at that time you were all knew about me.
I think he also asks of the price, the cost of...
Okay. Yes, so in terms of cost, our pricing model is slightly different. You can talk to the sales team out there. We have multiple options. You can tailor what you can afford. We're really looking more, the way we look at it, we're looking more at what you can bring to the table in terms of ideas to make the technology better and solve a problem than really trying to steal your money. So you can talk to the sales team and they can give you the different options, or you can customize your own pricing that you can afford. But every pricing tier that you have will come with its equivalent service that you can afford.
All right, thank you. Camilla.
Thank you.
Last.
I would like to address the last question first. The classic Montessori bands are the Nido from 0 to 3 years old. Then there's the toddlers from 3 to 6. Then there are the 7s to 12, 12 to 15, 15 to 18. However, may I just add this? The Montessori system can adapt to marry any national curriculum. Some of the aspects of the Montessori system are easily adaptable and very easily integrated. So that shouldn't be just because it is uncomfortable to put children in a class from ages 3 to 6, because our requirements for each one of them is so different. Here, at least in West Africa, that should not be a deterrent to adapting to some of the aspects of the Montessori system, if you have access to them. I'll address the first question now. I would like to take that from 3 points of view. Number one, as practitioners, we put our hearts and soul into our schools and into our students. It is unfair that some of us do so and some don't have the structure that they are promising. For those of us who practice true practice, whatever it is, whether it is the American system, British system, GES curriculum, all are wonderful, but it should be in good quality. Then we look at it from the child's point of view. Child comes to school and there really isn't what is promised. This is unfair for the child also. I look at it from a parent point of view, being a parent. I would like to receive what I have been promised and what I have paid for. So there are many reasons why the naming of the school needs attention. It needs attention. And that's why associations are formed, because we feel unheard. So by associating, we can confer together and set up some sort of benchmark.
I think we'll take it from there. The association will set its benchmark. So if you have put Montessori against the name of your school and it does not conform to the Montessori benchmark, once you're a member of the association will do their own checks and balances there. Sorry for cutting you here. The Honorable Deputy Minister is also a member of Parliament. He has to attend parliamentary duties. But before he take leave of us, I'd like to call on Kiddy College International School, Tema Regular Baptist Academy, Dansuman Baptist Academy, Day Spring International Academy, Two Roses International School, Beverly Hills Academy, and Pearl of Africa to come for their certificate of honor from InfoView.
I think some already.
Okay.
They've already gone.
All right. Okay, so distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Deputy Minister, one appeal from perhaps they couldn't ask. Tax on private sector education. Montessori schools are more expensive than university education. Why? Because the private operator is overburdened with 17.5% VAT, tier 2, tier 3, and cost of running electricity. So if we want to have a quality education, private sector led, as the public sector cannot compete the private sector, then they need to less burden the tax responsibility of the private sector practitioners, so that they can afford, provide the quality education, the proper checks and balances that the public sector cannot provide. And I think that must come from Parliament. And since you're a member of Parliament, this must come from
I'll tell you one thing. You are right in some regards, but in others you are not. And I'll tell you why. It should come from the people, not from Parliament. It should come from you, your association, coming to us, Education Committee in Parliament, or even to the ministry. Before this, I didn't know. And don't expect me to know because you are paying it. So you have to talk. And once you talk, we'll hear. So he's right by saying it comes from Parliament, but you should also take on the responsibility and let us know all the facts so that some of us can speak for you. And if you want to come and meet me in the ministry, my doors are always open. By 6:30 a.m. I'm there. I'll see you and talk to you. Thank you.
All right. Shall we all be outstanding for the Honorable Deputy Minister? Doctor, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate. Thank you.